How's it going, everybody? Raising Hell here, and today we're going to be talking about PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. You know that game? What is it called? PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds in obnoxious all caps letters. So this is a game that's blown up in the last couple of months. It is based around the concept of Battle Royale, which is a bit like Hunger Games, if you're familiar with that. It's based around that theme. Obviously, Hunger Games did not pioneer it. It's actually older than that. It's based around some sort of Japanese book or novel. Not exactly sure about all that, but in the brief researching that I did, that is where a lot of this Battle Royale concept comes from. And PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds is one of those games, and it quite unexpectedly blew up on Twitch, especially. So when I first saw this game, you know, it's one of those games that just my first impression of it was an annoying first impression, and I'm going to explain why. It's the name. The name is so bad, and I'm going to go into a little bit of why I think it is bad. So first off, if you take a look at Twitch, and then you take a look at other games on Twitch, you know, you'll have your common top games like League of Legends, Counter-Strike, Dota. Pretty much all of these games, there's one thing they don't do, and that is have this huge block of all capital text that makes it almost impossible to read. It's just like it's a block of text that's all in capital letters. It's obnoxious. And on top of that, the name is so damn long that it never allows, it doesn't allow you to see how many viewers are on the stream at the same time. So in other words, if you're browsing through your feed and you're taking a look at who's live at the moment, and you'll see somebody playing PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, but you'll never be able to see how many viewers are actually on that stream, at least on mobile, because it's the name is too damn long. So now you take a look at games like Counter-Strike Global Offensive, long name, it's CSGO, right? You take a look at League of Legends, it can be abbreviated to LOL or LOL. Same thing with World of Warcraft, Dota 2. All of these games that are fairly well known and fairly popular have a very memorable abbreviation. What does PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds have? PUBG. What is that? It's PUBG, I believe is the common abbreviation for it. It could also be abbreviated to pub. Pub works for me. Like I could understand it being pub, but not PUBG or PUBG. It's terrible. I don't like that. So yeah, the all caps, that was the thing that just annoys me right out the gate, and the fact that they can't figure out a way to make it shorter so that way it isn't just obnoxiously taking up the entire width of that area, that information line that tells you how many viewers are on that stream. In addition to this, it strikes me as the kind of name that somebody comes up with who doesn't care. So you might be familiar with for example, some YouTube channels that do this. If you take a look at their about page, rather than sort of give you an overview of what it is they're about, they'll say something very arrogant and nonchalant, like we make videos about games or something. You know, it's this attitude of I just don't give a damn about how I'm presenting my stuff. Like my stuff is so good, I don't even have to bother trying to make it look professional. And this is an attitude that I think is common among people who haven't had to grind to get to where they are. It could be in any field in life. It could be getting like a high-ranked job. It could just be being financially secure. So that's like one thing that I have as a point of reference here. So when you take a look at the way I handle money, or the way I view money versus the way my parents view money versus the way my grandparents view money. So like you have my grandfather, you know, he never really spent a whole lot of money. He was very, very conservative in how he spent his money. So he might buy a new car once every 10 years, but aside from that, is like he watched free television all the time, didn't really go out anywhere, didn't go on vacations, so to speak. Very, very conservative in how he used his money. Appreciated the money a lot more, I think, and then we get, as money becomes less, because, you know, he would be from a generation that went through the Great Depression. So those people had a much more conservative outlook on how money should be spent, because you really would go hungry. That is not so much of a case these days, especially in the United States. And then you look at your parents, and they're a little bit more nonchalant with the money. Like they still understand the value of it, but at the same time, they're not going to spend it on superfluous things by and large. like each expense is pretty, there's not a whole lot of impulse buying there. And then you go up to like my generation where there's a lot more impulse buying. I think, you know, there's more inheritance floating around, and there's just a lot less hard work involved in actually earning it. That you have a lot of your basic needs are always met, and there's really not a whole lot of pain and suffering that you would go through if you were broke in that regard, or if you had little money in that regard. So you know, the same thing I feel sort of applies to like PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. The name strikes me as somebody who didn't have to work very hard to get to the popularity they currently enjoy. This looks like a prototype kind of name, like the kind of name you would come up with when you're still working on the game. I forget the exact term for it. Like a production title, I guess would be the term that's used. So like Project Scorpio for the Xbox, it turned out to be the Xbox One X, I think, in the end. That was like the official name, but the production name was Xbox Scorpio. PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, it feels like a production name to me. It feels like a name that not much effort was put into, and then it blew up really big, and they never actually went ahead and came up with a decent name for it. So in the interest of helping them along, you know, it's one of these very generic kind of names, right? You know, you take a look at the words involved in it. PlayerUnknown. So not only do you have player and unknown, you have them smashed together without a space. So it's PlayerUnknowns. What does this even mean? I'm not even sure at this point. Now, I want to make clear that I do not know much about the game besides the overall synopsis that I sort of gave at the beginning here. But I would like to propose some alternatives. So, in the interest of keeping with the theme, super generic, don't care at all about my product theme, we have Shooter Battleground Tactics. Well, that's a good name, right? King of Unknown Hill, Massive Shooter Battleground, Battlefield Unexplored FPS, Gameplay Battlefield, Strange Open World FPS, Player versus Random Game, Unknown Working Title, Unknown Player Production Title. It's Crazy Guys FPS, Wacky World Shooter, We're Better Than DayZ Promise, AAA Devs Can Suck It, Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious, and whatever, it's another Battle Royale game, play it. So as a final word on this, I think all of those titles are just about as good as a crappy title like PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. And honestly, I'm sick of that. I'm just sick of seeing that game, because it gives me that vibe of somebody who put in like next to no effort and then saw it blow up in a huge way. And so then they're very flippant about it. Like they don't care that there's probably people out there who would kill to have their game in this position, and who put in 5 times the effort, who have worked the last decade, you know, and have not seen anywhere near the same sort of popularity that this game has. And then there are people who made this game. It's like they're rubbing it in those people's faces, right? Very, very disrespectful. Now, I could be completely wrong about this. I do not know the actual history behind this game. These are just my first impressions of it, and I'm explaining to you why, to me, it's a negative first impression. Why I came away from seeing this game and thinking I thought negatively of it because of that. So that's just something to think about. That PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, with a name so bad, it has to be good, I guess. So thank you very much for watching. Let me know what you think about PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. Have you played it yet? What do you think of the name? Can you suggest an equivalent title of similar quality? Let me know below. Otherwise, thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you next time.